Hey there, we just cut the soap, Lavender Mint, and these are soaps that we actually made for our wedding. So it's a fun batch for us, and in it we included a pencil line. This pencil line is made with cocoa powder, and we're going to show you exactly how we did it. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our soap kitchen. Today we're going to be making a really special soap. It is a lavender mint soap, and it's one of my absolute favorite essential oil combinations. Lavender and mint is actually great just in a 50-50 blend if you want to try that. But this soap is a little bit of a different blend. It's a little heavier on the lavender. We throw in a little bit of spearmint just to kind of sweeten things up a little bit. If you're interested in the recipe, you can find it at muddymint.com. So what we're going to do today is we're doing a two-part soap. We're going to have an upper portion and a lower portion, and they're both just going to be plain white. So this is a really simple soap. It's going to be made with coconut milk, and then we're going to have a pencil line in the middle. Now, a pencil line is a really great way to sort of elevate your soap and make it feel a little bit more sophisticated. It looks really fancy because the pencil line goes across the entire soap, so when you use it, you can see it the entire time, which is pretty cool as a user, but it's actually pretty easy to do, and I'm going to show you exactly how we do that. Now, some people call pencil line a mica line. You might have heard that instead of pencil line. A mica line is basically the exact same thing. It's just a line made with mica. I call it a pencil line because we make this line with natural ingredients. So natural powders. You can make it with clays, you can make it with indigo powder, you can make it with madder root powder, but I typically make my pencil lines with cocoa powder. This is the cocoa powder that I like to use. It's just plain old Hershey's cocoa, and it's 100% cacao and unsweetened. So basically there's no other ingredients in here except for cacao. So that's important to know. You don't want any sugar or anything in your powder. And I just buy this in bulk at like Costco. So this is a really great way to get a lot of cacao powder for pretty cheap. And we're going to put this across our entire soap to create that pencil line. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do that later on in the video. So we have our oils here in our bucket as usual. Again, this is our blend of oils that we use at Muddy Mint. It's one of our main recipes that we use. Again, if you're interested, you can find this exact blend in our recipe download that's available on our website. And we're going to add coconut milk. Now, I love using this Aroy D coconut milk. I talk about this in a lot of my videos. And I used to think it was 100% coconut milk. Turns out it's not. So this is just something for you to be aware of, especially if you're selling all natural soap. It turns out that this coconut milk, which used to be labeled as 100% coconut milk, now says polysorbate 60 on it. So there is about 0.05% apparently of polysorbate 60, which is probably what makes this coconut milk so fluid. Now, polysorbate 60 is often used in, bath and beauty products, so I'm not concerned about having it in the soap, but it's just something to be aware of. All right. I'm going to cut this open and put it right into my oils. Now, I'm not measuring this coconut milk because I know that this is the right amount in here. But if you're making a different amount than what I'm making, you probably want to measure this. There's about 17 ounces of milk in here. All right. Now, since both halves of this soap are the exact same color, I'm going to do the exact same thing with my other bucket. We have two buckets because this soap is going to be made on a slab, and we're going to do our pencil line in the middle. So that means we're going to basically be making our first half, adding the lye to one bucket and pouring it into our slab. And then we're going to make our pencil line, let it set for a little bit, and then we're going to make our second half. Okay. The other thing I have here is our essential oil blend. It smells so good. So this is lavender, peppermint, and spearmint. So I'm going to put that right in there. All right, I'm gonna do my other bucket too while I'm at it, just so that they're both ready to go. Okay. This soap is great as a seasonal summer scent, which is how we did it in our product line. Or it was in our product line, and then it became a seasonal summer scent. But it's also fantastic for the rest of the year. All right, I'm going to give this a quick blend, and we're going to take a temperature check. Okay, so our oils are at 90 degrees pretty much, 89 to 90, which is perfect. We have been having issues in our studio with things being too hot, so I ran the AC today, and it's probably about, I don't know, 75 degrees in here. As you may know, temperature is really important in soap making, not just for your oils and your lye, but also the temperature of your room and your space. It's going to have a big impact on how the soap turns out. So keep that in mind. Okay, I'm going to put on my goggles because now we're going to be working with our lye water solution. For those of you who are new to the milk and oils method, I put my coconut milk directly into my oils, and then we're using a 50-50 lye water solution, which is half water, half lye, for the rest of our liquid. This is something that I talk about all the time, so I won't get into it. We have lots of videos about this if you're interested in learning more. Okay, let's get right to it. Hold on a second. I forgot to take a temperature check of my lye. 92. I did actually check it earlier, but it's always good to do things on camera so you know what I'm doing. Okay, here we go. I'm going to take it a little bit slower than usual because we have had accelerating batter in here due to the heat in Colorado. If you haven't seen our video on making sea salt and kelp, we had some massive accelerating batter and it did not go well. So if you want to see a mistake being made or just soap behaving badly, definitely check out that video. All right, it already does feel a little bit thick, so I'm glad I was careful. Give it a little bit more of a blend. All right, that's feeling pretty good. All right, I always like to give the batter a stir before pouring it, just so we can smooth it out, get those chunks out, get right to the bottom here. And then we can pour it into our slab. This is our slab. This makes 4 loaves of soap. Let's get this batter in there. I have a chair down here, or a stool, in case you're wondering where I set my bucket. All right. So this is the first half of the bar, the bottom half. The batter's a little bit thick, but that's okay for the soap because we kind of want it to set up quickly so that we can add our second layer easily. Okay. Give this a little shake. We're going to smooth out this layer and then we're going to do the pencil line. Now, one thing that's sort of fun is that you can actually create a texture in this bottom layer and then make the pencil line. So you can make wavy lines or, you know, different kinds of patterns. But we're just going to do a straight line today. All right. So I'm going to take my cocoa powder right here and I'm going to put it in a snap ball tea strainer. So this opens up when you squeeze it together and it has this mesh on either side. And the reason I like to use the snap ball strainer is so that way when I'm sprinkling my cocoa powder on top here, I don't end up having it spill over the top. So having it enclosed is really nice. So what I usually do is just grab a scoop right from the cocoa powder, and then I'm going to give it a tap in here because there's a lot of extra cocoa just kind of sitting around. I usually have this bowl too, so I can set my strainer in there. I usually do this actually before I even pour the batter. All right, so now we're going to go for it. Okay. So the technique here is to tap on the side and then the powder starts coming out. You want to distribute the powder, in this case the cocoa powder, all over the top of your soap. And one thing that you can do, you can see these edges don't have any cocoa powder. You can hit on the top here and that makes the cocoa powder kind of go straight down rather than all over. You don't want to do too much because if you use too thick of a line, your soap could actually split in two because you want the batter to adhere, the bottom batter to adhere to the top batter. All right, so that's looking pretty good. And what you want to look for here, and you'll start seeing it, is that the cocoa powder is sort of sinking into the batter. You can see it darkening up. If you have a layer that's completely dry on top, that's not good. You don't want it to be dry. Okay, another trick that we do, just get my paper towel here, is you're going to have cocoa powder along these edges here. You just want to brush that off. I usually brush it right into the mold like this. If you don't brush it off, you're going to end up with some cocoa powder on top of your soap. So now that I've wiped off the cocoa powder from the edges of the mold, it is ready for the second layer. Except before doing the second layer, I'm going to wait a little bit. And the reason I'm waiting is because I need to be able to pour on top of this first layer without breaking through the layer. And unfortunately, I can't do that by myself because I have a bucket here that's very heavy, so I can't hold it with one hand. Typically, in order to break the fall of the batter, you would use a spatula and just hold it down here and then pour your batter over top. And this is a nice way to do it with just one person if you're holding a pitcher that isn't very heavy, because then you can pour it yourself. And it's great for, you know, loaf molds and things like that, smaller molds. But with a slab like this and this much batter, it's going to be really difficult for me to do that. So unless you have a second person helping you to do this, you pretty much have to wait until you feel like you could pour over top of this without breaking through. Now, if you break through, it's not that big a deal. What will happen is that that section of your line will be off a little bit, which has happened to me before. But in this case, I want it to be nice on the inside of the soap. And so I'm going to wait a little bit and I'm going to do the top half in just a minute. So we'll be right back. All right, friends, we are back and I'm just going to get right to it. We're going to work on the second half of the soap. I've already stick blended the oils and the coconut milk and the essential oils. So we're going to add the lye water. Here we go. All right, so I was just pulsing my stick blender rather than running it because I don't want this to get mixed too much. I want a very thin batter for the top layer because I want it to spread evenly across the soap. Okay. The lye is in there. All right, that's probably plenty. All right, I'm going to give this a good stir. I'm going to get our mold over here. We're going to go right over top of this. Now, one strategy to use is to place your bucket really close to the layer here so that you're not dropping it from up high, because then it's more likely to break through. So let's see how it goes. I didn't wait super long to let this set up because my batter was pretty thick. So we'll see. All right, that worked out pretty well. You see how it's spreading across. Once you have a little bit of batter in there, then you don't have to be as careful because the batter that's already there is breaking the fall sort of naturally. Okay. All right. I like to shake and shimmy the mold a little bit just to make sure all the bars are going to be the same size. We're going to tap it down. And then I'm just going to smooth out some of the top here. Okay. Now this soap gets a pretty simple pattern on top. Grab my handy dandy spoon. This is my favorite spoon for texture. The batter is pretty thick, so I'm just going to go in and texture right away. We're going to be putting mint leaves and lavender buds on top since we have a lavender mint soap. Of course, you don't have to have that obvious of a botanical on top. You could do something purple like cornflower petals, or you can do whatever you want. Just have fun with it. All right. That batter is the perfect consistency right now. If you've never made soap in a slab mold, we have these little tick marks here that we made ahead of time when we lined the mold. If you're interested in learning how to line this mold, we do have a mold lining video that you can watch that is extremely detailed, probably too much detail, but anyway, it'll walk you through all the steps on how I line this mold and also the importance of putting these lines here. Basically, you want to know where your loaves are so that you can texture the top properly. After doing the 2 swoops, we do a little divot on top. This is our Muddy Mint signature top. Okay, and now we're going to do our botanicals. This is peppermint leaves. I actually just buy loose peppermint tea for this because peppermint tea is really just peppermint leaves. And I can put a link to where I get this. I actually get on Amazon from a company called Davidson Tea. And I just like to use a little bit of this, not too much. And then we're going to do some lavender buds as well. I get my lavender buds. You can get them from Amazon if that's your thing, but I like to get mine at Brambleberry. Okay, and then I like to use a tool like this. You can use a chopstick or anything else like this, just to sort of tamp down some of the botanicals very, very lightly. You're not squishing them down. You're just kind of making sure that they're not going to fall off when you cut the bar. All right, and we are done. If you are interested in making this recipe, you can check out our website, muddymint.com. We sell a ton of recipes on there. I also have a book that has 31 recipes that's going to be a lot cheaper than, buying the recipes that we have on our website. So the recipes on our website are soaps that we've made over the years. Some of them have been really popular with our customers, like this lavender mint soap. And then the ones in the book are brand new recipes that we created just for the book. So anyway, if you're interested in soap making or learning how to make soap or any of that, definitely check out the book, check out the recipes, or, just use some of this knowledge for some of the soaps that you're making. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know if you have any comments about pencil lines down in the comments. Thanks, and see you next time. Bye.